shot it far away and it
You
didn't.
shoot them because they was gonna spray.
He didn't.
Yes, I did.
I heard that. Sister, she said one of so they feel like we end up in, and all caps. Okay, 5 o'clock. I am going to call this tax hearing of the Marion County Board of Education to order. Item number 2 is public comments for proposed tax rates, and I don't know that we have any members of our community. So Scott, if you'd like to give your presentation, that would be wonderful.
Well, as you all know, the State Department of Revenue sends out notification to each school district, and we have 45 days from the date of notification to start this process. So we are within that timeline. They give us some, based off of the big thing is the property assessment, what the PDA does each year. So going to the second slide, when we received our notification toward the end of July, these are the options that KDE and off the Department of Revenue's numbers gave. We can take the compensating rate. Our current rate, I should point out, is 59.0. What we currently operate. The compensating rate would be 55.8. 4% revenue increase, not a rate increase, the revenue increase will be a 58. This generates 4% greater revenue over the prior year. In this case, if that option is taken, we can lower the tax rate down to 58 while generating 4% additional revenue, which is a little over $375,000 general fund. Then subsection 1 is another option at 61.9. It generates a little over $1 million more than compensating, but due to exceeding the limitations, it would be subject to recall. So, next slide, please. Just kind of the history of, looking back over 2014, 15 year to the past year, you can kind of see what our real estate and tangible rate have always been the same there. You notice there in 2017, if you remember, when the recall nickel was passed. So that's where that additional 5% or equivalent of went on to the rate and jumped up to increase that. And the motor vehicle tax has always been 52.6. Well, actually gone down since the nickel tax had been passed. So there's an opportunity to do that again to increase, to keep that going. So considerations that regardless of what rate is set, there's a base nickel that's required by the state and the additional nickels. In this case, we have the second nickel, they're called nickel. So 11 cents of the rate will be transferred over into the building fund and is restricted to be used only on capital construction or capital construction improvements. So if like using last year's rate of 59 and 11 went to the building fund, 48 cents of that area, all that will go to the general. So another consideration, senior citizens do receive a homestead exemption. That currently that's $40,500, so that comes off the top. So if they have a $100,000 home, they would be paying $100,000 minus the $40,500. So they would pay on the remaining. And then a big one I like to point out here, the consideration later in the meeting, is there's KRS allows for what's called a 0.1. It's different from the district to district. It's based off of tax collections. We can add a 0.1 to our rate. That would add basically, you pay $1 more per $100,000 to make up for exonerations, which is the bill is not collected the prior year. Okay. Just kind of a map of how the PDA assesses this. This is back in 2015. They break this, it's not necessarily quadrants of equal land, it's more of equal homeowners. So you'll see the yellow section there is 11, it's a little smaller area, but more homes, more density. So they rotate every 4 years to do a property assessment evaluation. They certify the Department of Revenue by January 1, that kind of triggers on them. So you add 4 years of that in 2022, that would have been in the far eastern port, that pinkish reddish color above Rabbit Hill, all to the volcano line. And then the next one is kind of assessments over the year. If you look, our assessment value in the PDA office is up 5% over prior year, $85 million of the new, and that includes both new constructions as well as reassessments, property assessments. So that is why being able to increase revenue while lowering the rate because of the property assessment value going up for the PDA office. Which is a good steady, if you look at that graph, it's good and steady to the left or right. Next slide, please. Kind of looking to all of our neighbors, including the independents and county districts we touch. Going out in Marion County is right here. The blue is the general fund, and the nickels is any nickels that above the required nickel. So Marion, we're right below 60. If you're in Danville Independent, you're pushing $1 almost. The two that are really below us are Casey and LaRue. Us and Washington Taylor are pretty similar, and then it kind of goes up to Barstow Independent, Bull County. So. Something I want to really point out this year for that really plays into this property assessment rate is, so this is one big chunk of our general fund. So you have the local tax, which is local property tax, and it's C. And ADA plays into that, and for the last few years, ADA hasn't due to COVID. This year, attendance matters, and so our daily membership is very important along with attendance of those memberships. So just kind of looking at that graph's a little decisive, but it's only 100 students from 3,050 to 3,150. But we really got to focus on that because that's going to play our C calculation, which coincides with our property assessment. And then the last slide, please. The things that we're trying to do here that we can control to be good stewards is we're actively managing energy use. Obviously, the upgrades at Livestock and West Marion this summer, the ongoing at Marion County High School. Obviously, we can't control the rate the utility companies charge, but we can control our consumption. So we're trying to do that. We've taken over the last few years to our car injury instead of outsourcing that, which is about a $25,000 annual savings. Our student Chromebooks, how they're working with the student repairs instead of paying some staff, and they're gaining knowledge at the same time. A few years ago, we partnered with Cumberland Nursing to reduce that. It's about a $60,000 expense for a nurse practitioner, a nurse in every building, plus a sports staff member. So that's been very actively seeking grants to cover any expenses. Our food service and no charge for breakfast and lunch at all our schools. Mr. Lyons and them a few years ago switched over the phone service to a new carrier to save money as well. As data collection, how he's operating that. A few years ago, we actually started doing bus overhauls in the bus garage instead of outsourcing those. We bought some tools. Those guys did it there, which saves about $7,500 a year if we have those go down. So, and then just using smart purchasing, looking at our co-ops that we're a member of they're already doing bidding for us to make the same or similar like product for the best price there. So any questions on tax rate? So later in the board agenda, at the regular meeting, there will be a couple of things that are related to this, to the setting of the tax rate, as well as the collection fee that the sheriff, in counties are required to pay the sheriff for collections. So that rate will be on there as well in the resolution. Open up any public comment? No, good chat.
Well, I think since the legislation was passed in July requiring 15 minutes for public comment, we'll keep the meeting open for an additional 15 minutes, just in case any of our community members happen to come and want to offer a public comment, and then we can plan to adjourn at that point, move into our business. So, thanks, Scott. David, if you want a copy of that presentation, we can happily provide it for you too.
It's not uploaded to the.
It should,
It
yeah,
is.
Yeah.
no, you're good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you for the offer. I appreciate it.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that one second time we go in, we're back and for the retracted meeting. We're gonna try, but that's pretty tight considering.
October 13th, I think is what I said for the draft search. So if it's, yeah,
So we just need to get a meeting.
if, you know, if it's on you. Yes.
So she just had this
Games tonight?
It's just, yeah, Marion County Middle School has a football game, there are 2 soccer matches and a volleyball. Yes, we are.
All right, yeah, I figured.
We're ready.
Sitting here, there's some dates that particular, we can send out and see everything we need. Not listed on the agenda, but yes, they're getting to do it, but I know this is. Well, and see, there's another. What would you think about the 22nd? No, Thursday. Next Thursday. No, we've got a week and then the 22nd. Okay. I mean, I don't mind doing it Monday, but usually Mondays and Fridays are bad, and Wednesday's church. Is it 22nd? Do you want to do it Monday? Monday. I think it's 22nd, 26th. Then it's still possible. That'd be okay. So when you did those, meetings and what time did you go? No, I mean, what time of the day?
Oh,
I mean, are you just saying?
just so everybody could be on the hour.
Good. Do we have something?
We had it video. Say,
Did we say something about transportation?
He said we'll work.
Oh, work. Okay. So you think 5 is good?
that's good. I think that's close.
Well, they're all school.
Is it custodial, cafeteria?
It's good.
I mean, try 4 if you want.
Yeah,
Probably be okay. I can
That's
ask,
appreciated.
I can send an email, ask them what.
We were thinking the 22nd or the 26th, which would give us time to, you know, and then maybe 4 o'clock, see how that goes.
There you go.
And then we're two hours later,
Well, thanks.
and then everybody else.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not a snack.
Remember the dust.
Don't tell me. I see Facebook.
That should be 22nd.
I heard it, 22nd, that's it.
That works for me.
Kevin, that's not Kevin.
So we're gonna look at here.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I know. The first.
First day of March. Yes.
You know, when you're talking about it.
But now that's the area. No, that's fine. I guess
I
I'm just like-
My dad always carried nights. That's just there's no reason.
He said they tractor down 5 miles.
He's on one.
They do.
They might have smarter than some.
He said,
And I was thinking too, he said, these are
I said, "Swear, it's real." They came out with one.
Yeah.
He knows I'm not.
We did our house. Last time you said you were
On both sides.
But it's been.
He's going to come with me.
Chris is
But
Terry's.
they're willing to shoot.
His master's. You say Terry's master's is coming.
Yeah.
It's not time.
What's hard is that so. Well, now, but I just said, additional.
No, it's not enough. In middle school, the more you get.
Emotional talking.
Yeah.
So really,
Some of these
not much
things.
change.
Keep the words.
Yeah, so it's
very
make that job description. Just a strict doctor.
Smarter than with
At least.
And then really redo.
So we plan on transporting The rest of it being paid for. Doors into. Bottom pit, middle pit. They all have some like, oh, here, go, we have money. So like this hurt, Well, enough, I don't think that enough. From tracing violence and.
Yeah. We just thought.
A lot of them are really.
Makes sense.
It's getting better.
I'm just thinking, so. I don't like how they seem regular.
It's just general wear and tear, they've been very, very. I mean. She redone her house. Well, she's got seven.
Take care of their.
She's got little stairs. She said it's.
I'm God, right there. Not easy to get it in, but. Saw them all over my stuff, when they were done with it.
I know. I thought we got that. It's not working. It's not
Never go that way now.
At this point, it is now 5:23, and we have met the legal obligation by the legislation passed. I'll hold 15 minutes for public comment. I feel more comfortable now adjourning, so can I get a motion on item 3, please, for our tax hearing?
Make a motion.
All in favor? Thank you. We are adjourned until we call to order our regular meeting.